So today the topic is the digital RMD and digital assets regulation in China briefings. Yeah. So before we get started, I think because this is the first time, so I give lecture to the whole audience here, and I'm very happy and excited to to share some of my thoughts and experience. And this is the things that I don't how to say fully know the background, and how much you know about the digital, for example, the CBDCs or even like digital RMBs. So yeah, I will assume I will give some like little bit the background information, and then I will discuss about digital RMBs and so on. Okay. So first of all, there is like the measure for how is the classification for the digital assets, and as we all know, there is many different kind of the digital assets, right? And also the digital RMB is a kind of them. And how do we categorize it? Actually, because digital assets is a quite is a also developing area, right? So there is a lot of different types of the assets and different kinds of the classifications. But generally, we can divide into different categories. For example, here in this slide, I divide into the assets into some major different types. For example, the first one is the crypto assets. This is kind of the quite general, the created the assets, for using on the the crypto, contents, or it's kind of, for example, the bitcoins, the NTFs, and other kind of tokens. They all belong to the crypto assets. And then there are security tokens. Security tokens is also kind of the blockchain-based assets. Actually, they can be treated as a kind of the security. For example, in US or in European countries like EU, they have the certain definition and certain tests to to see if this kind of the crypto the digital assets is a security token or not. So if they fall within the definition in the domain of this category, actually you can trade it. You can buy and sell, like almost like another kind of the financial security. And also they have the utility tokens, the stable coins, and CBDCs. For example, utility tokens actually are something you can work on, using it more like a security, or like a products or service. Actually, you can use security tokens to to do something like to fulfill some of your needs. For example, you can use it to purchase or exchange for some kind of service. And stable coins is like it's like also kind of help you to to use this kind of the coins. Actually is like have a relatively stable price. For example, they are pegged to a certain legal currency. For example, they pegged to US dollars. You have those kind of the USDT or USDC, those kind of stable coins. And last one is kind of the CBDC, right? It's a central bank, digital currency. And this kind of the the central bank in the world, they are working on to provide those the CBDC digital currencies, in their currency system. And today we are talking about the digital yuan or digital RMB. Actually is a form of CBDCs. Okay. By the way, in China, do you know how many kinds of the of those types of digital currency are used? Anyone knows? Okay, I'll give you an answer. So right now in China, also like lots of other countries, those kind of the security tokens, or utility tokens are now used in China. And there are also the stable coins is also are now applied in China now. In China, we have the CBDC, which is digital RMB, and also we have the a kind of the crypto asset, which is NFT. Okay, here it is, the non-fungible token, right? So in China, the utility tokens or security tokens are now traded. So basically, for example, the Bitcoins or other kind of the tokens are now traded in China. So the regulations, strictly are forbidden, the secondary market of the the security tokens of the things. But NFT is traded. Later on, if you I will also mention something about the NFT. So okay, so from the the classification, you can see there's a CBDC is one part of the digital digital currencies for the central bank, to introduce, and digital RMB, fall into this category. And I will mention a little bit about the the security tokens I mentioned here, right? So this is some certain types of the digital assets. How to decide this kind of the critical tokens is security token. Actually, you need to fulfill some requirements. For example, in US, there are conditions of the hallway test and reverse test. So if you pass those two tests and meet the criteria, then this will make you okay. This token actually is a security token, which can be treated almost like a financial assets. Okay, so in US and in European Union, and sometimes also in the Hong Kong, SAR or Singapore, they also have those kind of little bit different, but they also have the conditions for you to fulfill to see if these tokens can be treated as a security or not. Okay. Yeah, there are some, there are a lot of the regulatory requirements, in China as well. So yeah, I will also mention a little bit things about what kind of the regulations here in China, and I will also mention a little bit later. But majorly, there are a lot of the regulatory basis, and there is a lot of policy features here in China, and what is the orientation, what is the major, the trend, the movement for the policy, towards the digital assets. So basically, we're trying to, the policies here is trying to preventing, the financial risk related to digital assets. So, for example, in 2017, they're trying to, to avoid, for example, the issue of the tokens, trying to forbidden the ICOs, and and trying to preventing the financial risks related to the NFTs. And also there are some, similar, for example, the regulations and acts to trying to make sure, the digital assets is fall into the regular, the situation, and to give their, the fully, the fully support for their in terms of the financial risk and also their regulatory risks. Okay. Yeah, I will also mention a bit here, and so okay, let's start to to see the development of the digital RMB, or in China, the digital RMB have another name as DCEP. So if you see this word DCEP, it's also another name for the digital RMB. It's digital currency and electronic payment. Okay, so from the name, actually, you can tell the digital RMB is not just a currency; it's also very useful for the electronic payment. So it's a currency, and also it's a very convenient online payment, system. Yeah. So for this development, actually, the digital RMB is also to design for the digital economy in China. Yeah. So by design and development of the digital RMB, actually is trying to develop a new retail payment infrastructure. So it's not just you issue a digital currency. That's it. It's not that simple, and actually it's a new payment infrastructure, and to make it, for example, to meet the new digital era, and also make it secure and inclusive. The inclusive means everyone knows about the word financial inclusion, right? Trying to make everyone can be, benefit from the new system or the new development, right? Okay, so actually it's also kind of the financial inclusion, using this the digital RMBs. Okay, the functions and usage environment of cash actually also are ongoing the profound change. Okay, so by the way, do you know about the current, for example, the payment system, or what is the major payment, the online payment system in China? Anyone have any idea? Anyone have visited China? I don't know the detailed background of the audience, but anyone have been to China before? See how, for example, how people to make the payment. Of course, people are paying cash as well, but instead of cash, a lot of people, more and more people actually.
I can help you answer that question.
Sorry,
Professor. I've been in China.
Yeah.
Can you
answer? Yeah. How is the situation? Instead of paying using cash, what is the situation in China? Can you make a little bit, the answer? Yeah.
And you use your WeChat or your Alipay account, and you pay with your cell phone. You have an e-wallet, which allows you to, just put money from your bank account into this e-wallet. And also you can share that money with your friends through your contacts on your WeChat, which is, for those who haven't used WeChat, is just like a WhatsApp or a Line or Telegram app, but it's bigger than that, because it's WeChat is WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, almost all the tech ecosystem in one application, right? And,
yes, exactly.
And you just pay with a QR code, or you just scan a QR code, and it will immediately make the transaction. I miss that a lot, because it's not very common in this side of the world.
Yes, exactly. Very good, great reply. Yes, exactly. So in China, as Sergio mentioned, everyone uses WeChat and Alipay. So almost no people, or only few people still use cash or a credit card, and most of people are just using WeChat Pay and Alipay, to do the electronic payment, purchasing goods, and also when they also buying and also transfer money, among friends or among each other. Exactly. And WeChat is kind of combination of the WhatsApp, Line, even like Facebook, and also the Instagram and so on. So it's kind of the one unique, very unique ecosystem. Yeah. And so actually in China, China has all kind of this kind of the, I would say, the the development for the digital, payment system already. So people are quite used to using those kind of the digital payment system. Yeah, very good. Yeah, and with this development, actually, it's also kind of quite natural to introduce the digital RMB. And later, I also mentioned about little things about the difference between digital RMB and WeChat Pay and Alipay and so-called, the electronic payments. They are also kind of different. Yeah. So in general, the digital RMB is kind of in this kind of environment. So the digital payment system are also very important to help the digital era, trying to make the online the payment system smoothly. Okay. Yeah, that's very good. Okay, so as you can see, the digital RMB is actually, you can see a little bit of definition of the digital RMB or the DCEP. Actually, it's issued by the People's Bank of China. So the Central Bank of China is the PBOC or People's Bank of China. Yeah, and it's kind of the digital form of the legal tender. So it is, issued by the central bank, and so they are kind of legal. It's a legal currency. It's operated by the designated institutions and based on the broad-based account system. Okay, so it supports also the coupled functions with bank accounts and is equivalent to the cash or the physical RMB. Okay, so the digital RMB or the DCP have the same, the rights with the cash or physical RMB. Yeah, DCP, as I mentioned, is issued by the PBOC, the People's Bank of China, which is the Central Bank of China, and it have the, the same, rights and functions, with the physical or the cash RMB. Yeah, and it is, retail-oriented central bank digital currency. So it is issued by the PBOC, but then it's not directly issued to the, the retail users. It's issued to the commercial banks, and the commercial banks, they will distribute the digital RMB or DCP to the retail users. So there's kind of two layers, but in conclusion, the DCP have the exactly same right with the physical RMB, and is protected by laws. Yeah. So how to use the DCP, as I mentioned a bit. So there are the three different layers. The top layer is the central bank, which is the PBOC. The central banks, they have the highest authority over DCP. Actually, the DCP is centralized, the currency system, or they have the centralized control. As most of you, many of you knows, for example, a lot of the cryptocurrency are decentralized, right? For example, the Bitcoin or Ethereum, they are the cryptocurrency and they are decentralized, which means there is not a central, the institution or company or enterprise they issue the currency. Instead, they are using the blockchain, the system to make it decentralized. We don't talk about the details of the blockchain this time, but in general, a lot of the cryptocurrency they are decentralized. But usually a CBDC or the central bank, the central bank currency are centralized, which means the central bank have the rights and authority to issue or to look over the currency. Okay, in the middle layer, it is the other institutions. Most of them are the commercial banks. They receive, or the central banks, they issue the digital RMB and provide it to the commercial banks. And this later they will do the transactions of the digital currency or DCEP to the users or the the retail users and to the ordinary people. Yeah, so we also see in the application layer, users can using those kind of the RMB, and actually in this application layers, a lot of the banks or the shops, they can use the apps, the online apps and applications to do the transactions or purchasing goods and so on. So a lot of things can be to be created in the application layers. Okay. So what kind of the features do they have of the data RMBs? Yeah, it's also kind of quite unique. First of all, yeah, I list some of the features here. So it's combining. First one is the combining account and the value features. So the DCEP or digital RMB, they have the account-based, quantity-account-based, and value-based. Yeah, these are kind of the technical words. But in general, the digital RMB, they can to do a lot of the the transfer value in form of the enterprise coins. So by using the digital currency system, the DCEP have also quite flexibility, a lot of the flexibilities, right? They can be used into a different type of the data environment, yeah, in general. And also the second important feature is the digital RMB, they don't require any interest payment. Actually, the DCEP is positioned as a M0. M0, if you learn the economics, yeah, it's kind of very important. It's kind of the basic currency, and there are no interest. So if the commercial bank, utilize the digital RMB to their users, their investors, actually there's no interest at all. It's just a kind of cash. So there's low cost, in the electronic or the online, the transaction or payment system. There's the cost is very low, and the payment settlement actually is also coupled with the bank account. They have the special, the e-wallet for the users. They can associate to the commercial banks, and the settlement are also very, smooth and very smooth, and also goes very, the links very well between the banks and your personal e-wallet. Okay. And also there is another feature, is the controllable anonymity. So it means usually you don't need to fall into the privacy protection management. Yeah, but still, if there is something, the money laundering things happens, though, because the central bank, they also have those, the authority to investigate into the digital currency issues. So there is a kind of also have the controllable anonymity, and also the security is very high because it is using a lot of the digital the security the technology. So for example, they have they're trying to make sure the transactions are private and also be fully protected. Yeah, and also for example, in the cryptocurrency domain, there is like smart contract and things like that, right? So here in the DCEP or digital RMB, they also can utilize the smart contract concept. So they can do some programming, working on some, trying to make it more flexible in terms of the design of digital RMB. So this is also can apply to, further use in future if there's some new, for example, the new technology or the new applications are needed. So the DCEP are also be designed, can be applied to a broader environment to use. Okay. So here, as I just mentioned, emphasize again, the PBOC actually is responsible for the issuance, cancellation and interconnection between institutions. So actually, this is kind of the top-down, system. The central bank, they have the authority to do the ecosystem management. Yeah, and a lot of the commercial banks, they can also, to create the DCEP or the digital RMB wallet for the customers and provide those kind of the exchange service. Okay, so the central bank, they have the supervision, and also the commercial banks, they are the institutions to develop the applications trying to utilize the commercial use of the DCEP. Okay. Yeah. Here I also mentioned something about the digital wallet. As a lot of you know, as I think a lot of you already know, because in the cryptocurrency, the domain, if you want to, buy or sell cryptocurrency, usually you need to have a e-wallet or digital wallet. And here is also the case for the digital currency of the central bank, the CBDCs or the digital RMBs. There is also a concept of the digital wallet. So the wallet actually serves as the carrier of the DCEP and medium to reach users, right? The users are using the e-wallet, they can, they store their digital currency and also, to make the transactions. Okay. So the wallets actually can classify it into the different levels based on the strength of the customer identification verification. Yeah. So they have the certain different levels. For example, they have the personal and corporate wallet. Okay. So the individual users and some, the self-employed individuals can, open the personal wallet. Okay. So, for example, the legal entities, they can open a corporate wallet. They have different levels. All of them, they need to, meet the, the requirements from the central bank. Different level wallets, they can also, all of them need to be a good, protector of the users, but still depend on the usage. The usage of a personal wallet and corporate, they can function a little bit differently. They also have the software and hardware wallets. This is more technical. For example, the software wallet provides the service to users, right? Using the different types of the payment apps, SDKs, APIs. It's kind of to make the the interface to the the systems or the infrastructures. Yeah, the hardware wallets actually, they are utilize the technology more the hardware linked. For example, the secure chips to to enable the function of the digital RMBs and provide the users, for example, through the IC cards. Okay, the mobile terminals, for example, the mobile phone, the mobile device, and also the Internet of Things device. So the hardware wallet actually, they are also prepared with the physical, for example, the chips, the IC cards, to make it work for digital RMB. Okay, so depend on the IT, now technology and the devices. Okay, and also they have some sub wallets and parent wallets, and so in conclusion, by utilize the different wallets to the different level of the users, the different types of the either it's software or hardware, and either it's the parent wallet or sub wallet. Actually, this is more the on the technical side to prepare the the wallet for the usage of the digital RMB into the different type of the infrastructure. And in conclusion, all of this are trying to build the ecosystem, for the central bank to apply the digital RMBs to the use of for the whole society. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of explanations and outlines. I will show you some examples. Before that, yeah. So another important feature is the offline transactions. Yeah, the PBOC, they realize as a cash actually can use, even you don't have an internet environment, right? But for the WeChat Pay and so on, all those kind of current electronic system, they need to for the internet environment to make the payments go smoothly. But for the digital, RMBs, actually they can use for as the offline environment, which means even you don't have an internet connection, you can still use the digital RMBs by using a technology called the near field communication, the NFC technology. So the two users can make transactions without the internet just by bringing their digital wallet or the e-wallet close to each other. Okay, and by touching it or by getting closer, they can use this NFT technology to make the transaction. Okay, this is almost like a cash payment. You give your cash to another user, no matter there's the internet or not. So the digital RMB, they utilize this, they can make it happen using the NFT technology. Okay, so the difference, okay, of between the digital RMB and e-payment system, for example, the WeChat Pay, Alipay, there are quite few. In January, the issuer is different. The WeChat Pay, Alipay, they owned by the private entities, right? The WeChat is owned by Tencent, and Alipay is owned by Ant Group, but the digital RMB is by the central bank of PBOC. It's not in China, not only in China. For other, the central bank, data currency, they all owned by the central bank in the country, in that country. So the issuer is different, right? And the natural currency is they have also the difference. And as I've just mentioned, the offline transactions is also different, right? Usually the digital RMB, the usage is more powerful. Okay, and one last thing is the dependence on banks. For the WeChat Pay, Alipay, they also require the user to link their bank accounts, right? But for the digital RMB, actually the user, they don't have to require a bank account. Actually, they can have their own e-wallet, without associating to any commercial bank. They can be, they can have their e-wallet, and just using e-wallet to make the payment and transaction. Okay. Yeah. So, okay, I will also give you some, quick examples here in China, and also in the Zhejiang province, because now, I'm living in the Zhejiang province. So, for example, in the subway system, in the capital city of the Zhejiang province, for example, in Hangzhou or in even in some other, the local cities, actually, starting from this year, people can just using the digital, wallet of the, the DCEP or digital RMB to buy the tickets, refunding the tickets or making up the tickets. All of those using the digital RMB. So you can just scan it, your wallet, and then you can, go into the subway, take the subway, totally subway. So you don't need to buy the ticket, using or Alipay or using cash, you can just scan your digital RMB and to make all the transactions. You know, this is kind of using by swiping the QR code. So it's quite convenient. And also, even in the everyday life, you know, there's a lot of shops, they have their QR code for people to use their, you know, the e-wallet, the digital RMB. You can just scan your e-wallet into the, as the shops, or, you know, to do some other transaction online. You can easily use the digital RMB. So it's quite convenient. Yeah. And I think I will use as the final part, I use a few more minutes to just introduce a little bit things about here in China. So for the general digital assets, and there's so in general in China for the digital, for example, the assets, the regulation is still in progress. So because the digital assets is also the new type of the products, and it's evolving, you know, it's evolving very quickly. So there is also the regulation in progress and trying to, you know, awareness of the ownership and protection of the assets. The one thing I want to emphasize to the audience, as I mentioned in the beginning, there's a lot of the digital, you know, the currency or digital asset types, right? And a lot of them are, how to say, strictly forbidden because they can, you know, introduce some of the financial risks and so on. I think a lot of countries in the world, they have the, you know, a lot of the similar or different kind of policies, but the measure is kind of, you know, try how to protect, you know, the users. And here, for the domestic Chinese market, the NFT, the non-fungible tokens are, you know, allowed to use, but still trying to protect, you know, for example, to try to prevent from the financialization of NFT is also an important issue. You know, you are trying to, you know, not make it, you know, become a security token, right? It's just trying to using how to use the NFTs to, you know, provide the values that's okay, but don't, you know, to disguise the financing of the token issues. That's very important. I just list you know, a few document source. It also in the keywords in English, but also have the original one source in Chinese. So I just want to give you a sense that there's a lot of regulations from the different, you know, the regulatory, you know, the associations to make, you know, the fully, how to say, supervised for digital assets things. Okay. So the regulation of the digital assets, they have those kind of the one thing is, you know, the risk alert and how to make the traditional legal underwriting is one important thing, and also trying to banning from the financing practice. So you can use the digital currencies, for example, the digital RMB, but it's very, you know, important not to use, you know, those kind of digital currency to do the financing. You know, trying to, you know, do you know, to make it, you know, to make it for example, some financial crimes, things like that. Okay. There's also some data article 20, which is quite important, you know, article for the domestic use of the data, the data of the property, and there are some, you know, major how to say mechanism how to make it efficiency and equity, and also to make it have a clearly security governance. Okay, on the article. If you are interested to, you know, further for some understanding or to do the study on the digital how the assets, you know, the policies in China, I recommend you to also, you know, to read on this data article 20. Okay, so in general, it is, you know, trying to, you know, trying to improve the, for example, the construction of the standard system of data, you know, the trading, and trying to establish the data market for risk prevention and have a, you know, better, you know, make it quite smoothly, transformed into a healthy system, and trying to also how to say the different types of data need to be to be carefully to how to say to be studied, and sometimes it's trying to make preventing this kind of black market data trading. And so in general, and trying to protect the users, especially from the those kind of the less experienced users, and trying to make it a good demonstration of the applications and for the better use of the digital assets. Okay. So yeah, that's a very quick the briefing of the how to say the digital RMD and some kind of the digital asset situation here in China. And yeah, as if you got a chance to visit China, I think yeah, I encourage you guys to take a use of the digital RMD, or either online or in the RMD shops, and see how it works, and hopefully enjoy it. Yeah, thank you very much.